This episode on YC Test Drive, my grandfather shared his story on how he fought with a lion. We look at the community benefit distribution in the Kavulavula Conservancies. I also visit Sorendela Lodge. I'm going to speak to Grandpa, so he explained what happened with the lion attack. I'll show you the area where that happened. I was still young that time. I think I was maybe 10, 11 or something like that when the lion attacked him. So come with me so that you hear. So here are my uncles, Uncle JJ, Uncle Robert, and then that's my cousin, Mazunga. And here's Grandpa. Okay, just as I said, it's something really that I still remember vividly because I was quite grown. When he came from this direction, everyone in the village was crying. My Auntie Mary was crying. But anyway, I'm going to ask Grandpa in my language. I'm going to translate to you as much as I can. So cool. Musi upala na chirimo undavo agami holofaze. Musi upala kutila chirimo. It was 1998. My cousin says it was 1998. Chiva pangare ana mu plan din very chinzi. Mube nahi bandavu ava panga attack ngombe ava taseze ngombe mu nkwiti mnombe nahi.
Ya namu mumuzi.
Eh.
Yanna nubekere mani kuba kumafolo ko.
Achitengu.
Mani kinaloka kusamba kumafolo ko. Ndoba kuba wochikere. Banda buchu ba mane ngombe. Ukatu. Oh. Kale kabuti ngombe za kuzobele kizawa. Ya nabasya kutobaja. Ndabuni wa muyawo. Kwamele wa muyawo.
Bale bobere banda.
Bale bobere.
There were two lions.
Bale atuzo halu mbena hinde togo.
Bobere. Keto 6. Keto 6 The two lions hid themselves on the banks of the Ngweze River, a river our cattle graze along every day. Grandpa explains that he and his men and a dog, they walked all the way to the tip of this land. Let me just quickly give you a quick background of this piece of land. On the right side, there's the Chove River, and on the left side, there's a small river branching out called Ngweze. In this portion of land, this is our grazing lands. This is where we push the cattle every day since I was young. And in this piece of land, we have to protect the cattle, and it's very important that the lions are to be pushed out back into the Chove National Park. As the two lions crosses this piece of land running from Ngweze River to Chove Riverside, the dog chases them and Moses follows them. He has to make sure they cross the river. Moses. My grandpa, he always makes jokes as usual. The lion charges at Moses. He retreats back and he passes Grandpa, who becomes in the line of danger.
Oh, number 3, Kare Joni, wait a good hababa. You can be a Chizuba Chapu, cover Chizuba Chapu. And it's anyway, Nikawan Salem. Anikawan Salem.
The lion tries to grab him by the throat, but he blocks it with his left arm.
Ya mazala abetu kukaba ni mazala ni ganu kabuli ntobolo nibekwete kuti yanu cheza kumaliza kaholoka kwa
suma
anu to suma ali anu suma ni
ntobolo
kweli mbali menyo hasingelo tukusuma
mukati
abatulukita sisumu kweli kuti
eulwa
kuna putula dan olu bakaluki o mo kita aluki
muluko jono.
He wrestles with the lion and his left hand with a rifle is in the jaws of the predator, chewing it and puncturing it severely.
Ababoli bulio ahambali tukubuta chabuta ni kumwa apuru twele aninjiza kuti yanza lyangu ili lenjiti mukuma mtu hapo olela hatulele naya chingi bantu bali kukana kuja kwangu okuni kolete kujwa kumonda kuzo okuni
kolete.
His upper body feels crushed and paralyzed. The lion sank his hind claws above his knees before throwing him on the ground. I always thought the lion was head, but Grandpa insisted it was not.
Beza kuambira abantu bena kumuzi kuti badala ndavonda chavaonda kolonera chiriro muno iswaho tulolete feroku uzuba chiri mina kuna mwiza kutuluka tele mwiza kusika
nsika kana nipe ngiri mwiyapa nibazimi ule mlyango hakutsumba banyokolo
I clearly remember that evening my grandmother and my second grandmother with Aunt Mary, they took Grandpa on foot to Mbalasinte Clinic, a clinic which is an hour walk away from our village, and it was getting late that evening. It was quite terrifying to see. Due to heavy bleeding and state of shock setting in, Grandpa collapses when they arrive at the clinic. He immediately gets lifted on a stretcher bed where a nurse performs an emergency operation, giving him over 30 stitches, closing his ripped off hand and both his knees. As all this happens, Grandpa was still in state of shock, not realizing and noticing all the stitches that he got.
hana kupumula masiku kana mumba kata zeri kapaka kwera mumba kulizuira
kukata zeri kandi na achiro amanalo ngabawonza kufula takuti na achiro achitalo chibete kulete nchije uzonko chijera uzo kalobeti iba chine maleti wakati wakuti mudalo kwa jano chani hakapirusu sana kuti kanini mwana nkokulia ingonzi zinibalali aho nezina zakuti kinafwa ukuba manini ngati balali aho meni konturuka kakutsatsa nika 7 kavuka.
For the first time in 3 days, Grandpa slept peacefully. He jokingly says Grandma thought that night he was dead the way how he overslept. Uncle Robert checks up on him the following morning. I reminded Grandpa about an incident that I clearly remember happened when I was 12 years old, when a group of lions came just behind our backyard and attacked cattle. 7 small calves were slaughtered by the lions that night, and I'll never forget the incidents, because my 2-month-old calf from the cow called Nongolo was one of those that were slaughtered. I remember the following morning, crying, devastated by the destruction of the lions. That night, the lions followed the school kids after night studies, coming close to the village. When they got closer, they were tempted by the smell of cows. That night, Grandpa was woken up by the hysterical cry of a 3-day-old calf. He took a shotgun and went to the kraal in the darkness of the night to investigate what was going on. In the darkness of the night, unable to see anything, he can feel the distress of the cows in the kraal. As he moved closer to the kraal, he stumbles on 2 dead calves. He stumbles on another one again, and he feels his calves are all eaten by the lions. He moves closer in the darkness of the night, and he can feel and sense the lion's presence around him. In the darkness of the night, he can hear on his left a lion devouring a small calf. He aims in the direction and pulls a trigger, hitting the lion severely. A huge male lion jumps in the air with a loud roar of distress as the number of lions takes off around him in the darkness of the night.
This old man that you see here, a very strong man who fought a lion. That's what my grandfather has to say regarding the attack. But these are the challenges that we faced here. Mostly on my father's side, we had issues of elephants and lions. Lions were very destructive, and I never used to see the use of having lions until now. When I grew up, that's when I realized the importance of having lions. Of course, on my mother's side, we have an issue with hippos and crocodile attacks, but here was mostly elephants and lions, but lions mostly attacking cows. It's just a bit of the story, really. He has a lot of stories that he has been encountered with lions. That's not all. I wish I had the whole day to tell you all these lions attacked, lion encounters and so forth that had happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, I should say this was time well spent. This was actually my first time in years to sit and ask Grandpa about this encounter. There are lots of other encounters that we went through, my grandfather went through when I was here, that I still remember clearly. And it was good to have time to chat about these incidences. After a good chat with Grandpa, it was time for me to drive to my second village. A village a couple of 100 meters away from my village. This is my second village, a village called Ijambwe. This is a village where my other 2 grandparents live, Vanamwale, Vanumbe, and Vajackson. This is a village that also raised me up. You see, in my African culture, we believe in it takes a village to raise a child. Even though I lost my father at a young age, I was taken care of by my different grandparents. After a good chat of wisdom, it was time for me to drive a few meters away to another village called Ijambwe. This village was my playground because most of my friends lived in here. Bennett Matengu and the late Vicent were my age mates, and we used to play with cars made out of wires. And it was a good feeling this time around, weavering around this village with a real car, and most of all, it's a VW Amarok. It's good to see that this village still thrives, one of the big villages around this area, built on an elbow of the Chove River. Even though in the past there has been a lot of human-world conflict in this area, the establishment of Kavulavula Conservancy in 2011 has benefited my community immensely. Villages such as Ijambwe has enjoyed the growth of tourism movement in this area, creating activities such as cultural village visits. Right now, I'm on my way to see a lodge that was built after I left called Sorendela. It's an amazing drive, driving in these open grassland areas, heading to the banks of the Chove River. I wonder how this place looks like during the flood time. Sorendela Lodge released a video on how this area looks like during flood times. I'll put the link below of that video so you can check it out. This place looks amazing. This area is covered by water. Just before we get to the lodge, just before I show you how the lodge looks like, let me share with you the benefit of Kavulavula Conservancy to my community. Here is Kavulavula's Natural Resource Report released in 2020, available online. You can take your time and check through the report, pause whenever you want to. In this report, you will find a lot of information such as the current wildlife numbers, the statistics. You will also find the number of species or the type of species that are found in Kavulavula Conservancy. You will also see the vegetation monitoring, predator monitoring as well. In this 3-page report, there is also different information such as the statistics of the Conservancy, the key compliance requirements, the Conservancy governance, and the benefit distribution. Check through and pause and see how the benefits are distributed in the Conservancy, the employment numbers, and also the governance performance rating. Now, let me take you back to Sorendela Lodge that has benefited my community in Kavulavula Conservancy through employment. This lodge is situated on the banks of the Chove River. It's precisely 17 kilometers by drive to Kasane, a town in Botswana, and 25 kilometers by boat. The lodge has 7 luxury chalets with 1 family chalet with a stunning panoramic view. It is also built with ecological material and techniques. This lodge becomes an island during winter season or flood time. When you are here at this lodge, you can enjoy some activities such as nature walk and village visit, some boat cruise and some sundown boat cruise, some game drive in the Chove National Park. It was lovely to see the elephants from a distance. And after some time watching elephants, it was time now to leave and go home. At lunchtime, it was time now to eat our staple food, a fish cooked in a different way this time around.
That's how I know I'm home. There is that big fish. Big fish.
This is how we normally eat here. Fish is our staple food.
That there's no
We eat fish with
traditional
pulp made out of maize. Unfortunately, we do not have some traditional veggies here, such as chinchungwa, itepe, or idere. It's one of those that we eat. Sadly, this was time again to go back to town, Katimamlilo, driving the same road again, the open road with grassland areas. It's really quite nice, this road. It's smooth driving an Amarok in here. The short time I spent at home, it was precious time. And I enjoyed every bit of it. And heading back to Katimamlilo to head back to Windhoek with Ralph. Ralph has seen it all. These are situations and times and places that I've went with Ralph. Times that we enjoy. If you enjoy this video, I highly appreciate it. This is the last video of my village trip. Thank you so much for watching the first episode and the second episode. If you have missed that, check it out on YC Test Drive. Subscribe to YC Test Drive. Share this video, comment and like. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.